So what in the world did happen to your lip there, Gabe, in the interim since we last saw you in the Pokemon review?
You know how it has just been busy. You know, it happens. No, I got stitches because I was having a scar removed on my lip from biting my lip too much.
So you got surgery
Yes.
that will give you a scar to remove scar tissue.
It's not going to leave the bigger scar. It's gonna...
Ah, okay. So it's just going to replace the scar tissue with smaller scar tissue. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay. I see how it is. I don't know. There's just something so poetic about it. Sort of like sort of like this movie, The Fate of the Furious. No.
So great.
I know.
Great,
I'm
man.
just going to hammer it in, hammer home that little segue there. But yeah.
No, the idea is an indentation is better than like an elevation.
Yeah, I suppose.
For a person, you know, it is good nervous habits.
Mm.
And that's why this movie was really... It wasn't as bad as it could have been, but it was a Fast and Furious movie, so I tried really hard not to break the stitches.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
I seem to be okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this was not exactly the best movie to take you to see after getting surgery on your lip.
Yep.
Especially, you know, if smiling really hard or laughing is going to...
and you go like, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But, God. Going into this movie, being blown away by how good Fast and Furious 7 was. Not good as in, like, oh my God, this is such an artistic achievement, but good as in, like, this is what you go to see action movies for, you know?
Yeah.
This is exactly what you go for, the crass, no shame whatsoever exploitation film.
Yeah.
And this is basically more of the same, except without the specter of Paul Walker hovering over it, except for at the very end. But I think we'll get to that in good time. But, yeah, general recommendations all around, I think, from the both of us.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Like, I left this movie with not the same feeling I left with Fast and Furious 7. Mainly because I think Fast and Furious 7 blindsided me.
Okay.
And I think that's, you know, you can't replicate that.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just kind of left, okay, so it's just more of the same. Which isn't a bad thing, necessarily, but
Yeah.
it's not the same thing. Oddly enough.
This felt like more of the legitimately good moments, as far as... They were...
I mean, like,
How
certain...
do I put this correctly? This was a little more real, a little more realistic. Yes, yeah, it was.
I mean, yeah.
Comparatively,
like,
this was more realistic. And the moments were less, like, purposefully... Okay, how do I put this? It's like a sliding bar here of, you know, the point where you're laughing and the point where you're actually just engaged because you're invested in the moment.
Yeah, I mean... Like,
I was more invested in the characters and what was going on with them, the story, than I was in Fast and Furious 7. 7 Fast, 7 Furious, whatever it was.
Whatever, like, whatever bullshit title they, you know, spring up on us. And I guess I can see your point, but... I don't know, like, I don't go to a Fast and Furious movie to get invested in the characters.
Exactly, and yet...
And, yeah, I mean...
You cannot tell me that you weren't a little invested.
I mean, I was. I mean, I guess in that way it's...
I looked over and saw you, and you were getting really into it.
I was getting into it, not because of what was happening on the screen, so much as, like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. So I was just like, ah, ha, ha.
No, you weren't.
Yes, I was. I mean, like...
At certain points...
Well,
but through not nearly as much as 7, and the points where you weren't laughing, which was where you were really getting into it, I could see you were like, I saw you.
Like,
and it's true. You don't want to admit it, but this movie did a not bad job of getting you a little invested in it.
I mean, I'll give it that. Like, the story is better.
Yeah.
I mean, like a story of betrayal and...
I mean, you know how it's going to go. You know every step of it, but for some reason... They decided to break out their acting chops just a little bit more.
Well, that's because there's, I think, a little bit more to work with.
Well, you got Charlize Theron in it.
Yeah,
so
Charlize...
She was incredible.
Yeah, because she's just doing what she did in Snow White, you know, just being, you know, lusciously evil. I don't think that's acting for her. I think that's just like an internal switch that she puts on.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess that's also, I suppose that's also what's the word I'm looking? That's also credit to her as an actress. If it looks like she's just gets into that mode immediately, and that's just her.
If it weren't for her to, you know, to act so well, then it wouldn't have, it wouldn't have made you care at all about what was happening to the rest of the people
Yeah,
as much. But she was really good. She
like,
always is, I guess.
like it feels bad. Like it feels weird to say it. Like it like against kind of against my own better judgment. It did get me to care about what's going on. Like I said, against my better judgment.
And mine as well.
Yeah, that's.
I kept wondering, am I just trying not to laugh so I don't hurt my lip, or am I actually just not finding this as funny as Seven? And I just don't think it was as funny. It had plenty of moments.
It had plenty of moments, but you know what it is? It's because Fast 7 had more ridiculous shit in it. I mean, there's plenty of ridiculous shit in here, but there's more ridiculous
They reined it in a bit.
Yeah, they reined it in, and I don't know, like, I suppose you could rein it in this movie and have the end result be that we can get more invested in what's happening with the story and characters. And on one hand, that's better, but on the other hand, that's, again, not what you go to a Fast and Furious movie to see necessarily.
And it was this movie was pretty well rounded. Comparatively,
I mean, yeah, like
we are comparing this to previous Fast and the Furious movies.
Because there's no comparison other than maybe Triple X.
Yeah,
but it's within that same realm of like, why in the world do we like Vin Diesel as much as we do? This guy has the guy has the charisma of a potato. He even has the looks of a potato, but nevertheless, you just get sucked into his world because I think
like his own confidence in himself is so just supreme.
Yeah, like it's not, like I think his method of acting isn't so much of trying to get everyone else to believe what he says is true. It's just that he earnestly does believe everything he says is true, and that kind of sincerity.
I don't know about that.
I think there is a definite sincerity to his performance, though. There is a definite sincerity, especially to, like, in the hands of a lesser, not actor, but in the hands of even some might say a better actor, they're just kind of cornball their way through the script.
I mean, I'm pretty sure he knows he can't kill you with a teacup.
I know he can't get that part, no. But I'm talking about, like, all that cornball shit about family. Like family.
Oh, well, I mean, he could kill me with a teacup.
Oh yeah.
But he could kill us with a teacup.
But like in the hands of anyone else, they're gonna roll their eyes through like family. But he managed to find a group of actors who look at cornball moments like that and realize it's corny, but I agree with it. So it doesn't take much for them to just roll with it and have fun with it. Because if you point of order here, if you see Michelle Rodriguez in anything other than the Fast and Furious movies, she's nigh unwatchable. Because
I haven't seen much with her. There was Resident Evil.
Resident Evil.
There was
like her character on Lost was easily one of the worst. Her character on Lost was easily the worst. I swear, every single scene that Michelle Rodriguez had in Lost was her eating an apple on a knife and saying, "I'm tough." That's what her lines might have been for the few seasons she was on Lost. But that's not. But that's neither here nor there. The point is that they knew how to use Michelle Rodriguez appropriately in this movie, saying like, "Hey, she's a tough chick, but she's a chick. Like she can, want to have a family. She can have this and that, and also kick ass."
That is a chick thing, because guys don't typically want to have families. It's usually the women who do.
I'm saying that she doesn't have to stray far from the stereotype.
Okay.
Whereas other movies have her like
I'm just
against
sipping my soda judgingly.
I know you are. My point is that Michelle Rodriguez in every other movie is that she's so cast against stereotype that it's.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Like
I know what you're saying.
It's like you don't have to cast the baby out with the bathwater. She can have a personality outside of being tough girl. So,
of course.
And that's
it's not like the moment you drop the tough act, you're no longer, you're back to being the other opposite end of the spectrum.
Yeah, like she could exist in the middle of the gradient, and that's she works well with. She works in that. She works there well there. Now, can we have a moment here to appreciate The Rock? just a moment here because we don't really talk, even though we talk about wrestling a lot.
So the Rock of this movie.
we talk about wrestling a lot, but we never really talked about The Rock. Not really at length.
The Rock, to start, was my favorite wrestler when I first got into wrestling because I was young and
and he was cool.
And yeah,
of course, all the kids watched on
yeah.
that. But then you wizened up and you attached your trailer.
Then I wizened up and attached my trailer to Chris Benoit.
I wasn't going to bring up Benoit. I was going to say HBK.
That happened eventually.
Well, some might say that you did wisen up in that regard. At least if we were going to keep our viewpoints within the wrestling match,
yes.
as it were. If we, look at him the way the WWE seems to be looking at Jimmy Snuka right now, just pay attention to what he did in the ring, not what he did outside of the ring. But he never really impressed me, even like as a little kid when I was watching him in the Attitude Era. Never really impressed me. I was always Stone Cold. I was always Mankind. Mankind more than anyone.
You see, now I appreciate Mankind more than The Rock, though, because perspective, I go back and I understand it all. I'm not just like, oh, look, it's the big muscle guy. He's got an eyebrow and he's got charisma.
He's got which not to down.
Not to say Mick Foley doesn't have his own charisma. Just The Rock was the guy who appealed to
the mainstream. Yeah. Like the man does have a 1,000,000-watt smile, and the man knows how to play to an audience, and and in the film industry, that's exactly what you're looking for as far as your leading man. But here's the thing: as much as I never really attached to him as a wrestler, I've attached to him even less as an actor.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Yeah, because in wrestling, you're supposed to believe who you're seeing in real life is the guy who's beating people up. Logically it's all a work, but you throw your expectations out the door. It's like, hey, there's The Rock, and he's fighting and he's being awesome.
I wish I could mark out as much as I did when I was a kid. I wish I could.
Yeah, but in the movies, there's that additional layer of like, okay, he's not who he says he is. And he's not like a special agent. Like, there's even more mental loopholes you have to run through. And there's certain actors where, excuse me, when he's cast in a movie, he's just going to be himself. He's not going to be a character. He's going to be himself. Robert Downey Jr., Bruce Campbell. Just these, like forces of nature that can't be denied, but aren't playing a character. They're just themselves. And that's The Rock. And what he's doing is basically being The Rock as we had him in the Attitude Era, except he's not dropping the eyebrow and he's not calling anyone a Rudy Poo candy ass. Yeah. Although he might as well have in this movie. So if I'm getting The Rock shtick from like 1999 and then transplanting that into 2017 and all that's missing is a microphone for him to go, then...
I missed the version of The Rock before he became Mr. Clean.
Yeah, but...
I mean, it's just, now it's like all muscle and bulk. I mean, he's still...
I mean, he has the kind of body Jinder Mahal is just getting even more steroids to pump into his system to try to get.
Yeah, and yet The Rock still manages to look, like he's somewhat healthy, natural.
He looks better now than arguably he looks better now than he did before.
Jinder Mahal scares me.
Jinder Mahal looks like he's made out of beef jerky. Looks, as I told you
his pores look like craters.
As I told you before, Jinder Mahal looks like if you gave him a urine sample, it would come out as pure Red Bull.
Yeah.
But
yeah, sweats, protein powder, just...
that is pure grade, pure grade, just PED Central. Not that, but we're saying he looks like that. We're not making any
accusations. It's like, although I'm sure that when he lifts weights, that he just dunks the protein powder out on his hands, as chalk, and then just eats the rest of it.
Sort of wringing out his sweat, and he's drinking it back in. He's not wasting anything.
It's like, is that chalk or protein? I don't care.
Back to The Rock, though.
Yeah.
So, like, him in movies, I just can't, I mentally can't separate him from the Rock persona in WWE to what he's doing now. So, if it really didn't click for me back then, it doesn't click for me now. And
Yeah, I understand that. It had diminishing returns for me, so I can imagine.
yeah, like way diminishing returns. And the fact that this movie is, God damn it, this movie sells The Rock like Vince McMahon wishes he could sell Roman Reigns. Exactly.
Oh man, like if the audience would eat up Roman Reigns when he's putting out just a little bit, then Vince would just be like, "That's it, sell all the merchandise, get it out there now." His kicks can like take down 3 people at a time.
We're gonna push him for SummerSlam.
Yeah,
I want to see him in the ring.
That's why you can't give Vince an inch. You can't give him an inch.
No, you got to be hard line sometimes. So, but it's sort of like The Rock has to fight against my own
Bias.
Yeah, I suppose bias is the correct word for this. He has to work against my bias towards him in this movie, and it's not like he wins 100% of the time.
Wait, so does that mean you're paper?
I suppose if we have to stretch the metaphor, so paper thin, yes.
Nah.
But yeah, it feels like I think I liked another reason why I think I like Furious 7 more than this movie was that they kind of put Rock out of action for most of the movie, so they kind of like he had his moments, like he flexed out of the cast and he was like being awesome. Yeah. It was like that's the perfect amount of Rock in this movie. But the way that the movie is sort of situating himself to kind of fill in the void that Paul Walker left after his death feels. I mean, I understand why they do it. I understand his box office appeal, like. From a business standpoint, duh, but that doesn't necessarily translate to an enjoyable experience for me. Not that I'm saying that he was bad in this film. It was just
I enjoyed him on the most part. I enjoyed him.
I mean, yeah, like it's more ridiculous shit. He does more ridiculous shit where
like that Samoan dance thing he teaches his soccer team or
like his little daughter's soccer team. That was endearing. I wish there were more moments like that, but oddly enough, I don't like The Rock when he's doing ridiculous displays of strength, like when he rips out a concrete bench in his prison and he starts doing bicep curls with it.
I enjoyed it. I liked it. I mean, like, couldn't help myself but enjoy it.
I mean, like, I enjoyed it, like, on a pure, like, oh my god, they're actually doing it level.
Like, this movie was having a little more trouble deciding which way it wanted to go. Hilariously over-the-top, stupid fun, or a little bit more grounded in reality seriousness,
Yeah, like...
I mean, like, Charlize... I'm sorry to interrupt again, but Charlize Theron was just kept trying to pull it back into, like, serious, like,
Acting. Well, acting by way of being like almost like a decadent villain. And I think we'll dive deeper into why Theron basically is this movie. But to turn it back to The Rock for a moment, like seeing him do crap like the bicep curls with a stone bench in his prison was, like that kind. It tickles my I love neon colored shit. I love it when they do shit like that. But it's like instantaneous and doesn't leave a lasting effect. But what I will remember him in this movie for is his dance of intimidation on his daughter's soccer team. That's how that he coaches apparently.
One war dance. They post stop. They post stop.
Yeah, it's very much Jimmy and Jey Uso on that, and that I attached to because. For some reason, like it's sort of like Kurt Angle syndrome. Nobody really latched on to Kurt Angle until he started making a buffoon out of himself, and that's where I want The Rock to be because him as a person is great. Like him, like dressing up as the Hulk. Oh, that's great. Him being with Jimmy Fallon in big old suits of themselves, being ultra meta and basically photobombing people. That's fine. That's fun, and he's obviously having a good time with that. But when like he's being booked as like this ultra serious, like I'm going to kick your ass, I'm going to knock your teeth down so far down your throat, you're going to have to stick a toothbrush up your ass to brush your teeth. That's like that feels like anyone can say it.
Rock I ain't got time to bleed.
Yeah, like Jesse Ventura. I mean, oddly, I guess I like The Rock better when he's not being a tough guy, I suppose.
Well, that's what I was getting with the Mr. Clean version of him.
Yeah.
I liked him more when he was comical, eyebrow arching, shit talking, jabroni.
Yeah.
I miss the comedy bits.
I miss the the ability to poke fun at himself.
Yeah, like The Rock says, the talking himself in the third person and everything,
Mm-hmm.
and mispronouncing words on purpose. It's just whatever. That was. I mean, maybe it's just because that's what I had as a kid, and I miss it. But
Yeah, I mean, if we're coming down hard on whether or not Dwayne Johnson should be put in roles where he's basically Superman and he could break handcuffs, like they were breadsticks and pin people sideways up against a wall, or could he be like, the Tooth Fairy?
okay.
I mean, like both extremes are kind of
The
bad.
Tooth Fairy is just the worst. That I haven't seen it. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
try to see it to have a
I mean, like,
perspective. But
Like both extremes are bad
Yeah.
to me. I mean, this has more lasting appeal
this is
than
better
this.
than him being complete joke, man. It's just,
Yeah, like complete joke. I want the needle
Yeah.
to be more in the center, I suppose, is what I'm trying to get
It's
at.
it's like it's they're taking away a part of him that is so big
Mhm,
that
and-
he contributes to everything he does.
Mhm.
That charisma
That-
is kind of cut off.
and that ability to make a joke out of himself in the long run. Even though this movie kind of beefs up The Rock's role to kind of its detriment, but that's me personally speaking. I feel that where the movie kind of it doesn't measure up to its prequel, not a prequel, but measure up to its previous entry, is that I kind of miss the ridiculous shit. There's ridiculous shit, as I said, but there's not like that level of we're gonna drive an Aventador through 3 goddamn buildings. There's nothing like
Was that good for you?
I mean, that was the moment that made me love that movie. There's cars, there's cars raining down on New York City, and that's fun.
That was pretty cool.
That was that
But
was
it just, I think that we would have found this to be pretty over the top funny if it weren't for seeing Seven.
yeah, like
But it's like anything that goes down from there.
yeah, like I mean, to be fair to this movie, where do you go from there? But on the other hand, that's the filmmaker's jobs, not ours. So
Like the only thing they could do is like at this point is have all of their cars like come together to make like a Transformer Megazord,
mhm.
and then Charlize Theron has like a Metal Gear Solid,
like
battle.
Metal Gear Rex.
Yeah. Sorry, Metal Gear.
Yeah, like a Metal Gear
Yeah.
Rex. That's what I want in this movie. Like if somehow or another, like Charlize Theron would liquid snakes into that frozen tundra missile base at the last act of the movie and just came out just going Vin Diesel,
Or just a mech suit or something.
yeah, like in a
Just- yeah.
gigantic. Exactly. Let's.
And I was
We're-
I knew they were. I knew they were. Go ahead.
Yeah, we're a Fast and the Furious
Yeah.
movie, for God's sake. Let's be a Fast and the Furious movie.
They did have they did have the submarine come up out of the ice
Mm-hmm.
with a big, just giant event. But and I knew that was probably how it's gonna be, but I was kind of hoping.
Just kind of hoping it would lead to a more like a fight on the tundra.
Yeah,
Or,
but it didn't go there.
No, of course not.
I mean, they did use a car phalanx to shield Vin Diesel from an exploding submarine.
that there were ridiculous moments, but nothing topping that glory shot that was the seventh movie. So unfortunately, I can't say that initial like dazzlement and that initial like oh my god that was so much fun. I suppose it's a victim of its own hype. I suppose.
Yeah.
So like because it couldn't measure up, I'm kind of left a little disappointed by it. But
I liked 7 more.
Mm-hmm, but it made up for it by actually having character interaction and involvement. And I think from right here we're going to get into spoiler territories by talking about specifics. So, if you just want the summary, go see it. Yeah, it's fun and it's
Yeah, big dumb fun.
big dumb fun. So first thing I want to say. Holy hell, Charlize Theron. She did something in this movie that I never thought I was going to see in a long, long time, and that's basically a woman cucking another woman.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
That was like a complete 180 for me. Like, I was seeing Charlize Theron up until now just basically being, like, I got you around my finger because I held your family hostage, a family that apparently was in the previous, that was established in the previous movies, but forgotten about by, like, the Fast and Furious 6, I want to say, and then brought back, and then only to kill them off again. So, or kill at least the wife off. So, it's just, that part kind of fumbled for me, fumbled for me, just basically setting her up to die, whatever. But, like, there's just something so decadently evil about her performance and her role specifically that her character motivation almost makes no goddamn sense.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't kiss another woman's man right in front of her, just looking her dead in the eye as you do it. As you take him away, saying, like, I took your property. What are you going to do about it?
It came out of nowhere, too.
I know, but, like...
And Vin Diesel later was like, so what was that? What happened? Why'd you do that?
Like, Is
that for me, her, you? I don't get it.
I don't get it. Like,
and then she doesn't really explain it.
She really doesn't even explain it. She just says, I just made a choice. I just made a choice.
That's all people are, is choices, or whatever.
It's like, I stabbed her in the heart, now I'm twisting the blade. That's just... Like, nobody does shit like that and has an ulterior motive of trying to rein in superpowers. Because that's apparently what she's doing. She's trying to gain a nuclear arsenal to hold sway over the world governments by saying, if you don't behave, I'm going to nuke you. So, like, you're trying to say that you're having this altruistic, albeit, tough love approach to global politics, but you don't do petty fucking evil shit like that. And like, the dichotomy between action and stated goal is way too far apart for me to wholesale believe it. Even though Charlize Theron is selling her ass on this, although, like I said, flip a switch and it just comes out naturally to her. But that performance, as involving as it is, and as oozing with that evil, like,
weaponized sexuality she had.
Yeah, that weaponized sexuality. Everything about it just feels like, and then it just,
like, she just kind of automatically just flirts with everything she touches. Like the guy who's piloting the submarine, she just kind of starts, like, rubbing him up. She doesn't really give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's just just kind of her mode.
Yeah, like, she plays handsy with a lot.
Yeah.
She even plays handsy with a baby that she's holding.
It's just,
so, like,
she's channeling a little bit from Ava Green, I guess.
I suppose. I don't know. Like,
well, okay, not in the face.
Not in the face.
It was, it was the physical. It was just the physical acting.
The physical presence of her in this movie is very much Ava Green-esque. Yeah. Or you could, like, I don't know who stole from who in that.
Well, not getting into that, but stone-faced pretty much the whole time.
Stone-faced because, like, she's so assured of what she's doing, and she is so assured, like, what she will do, like, what she does will get her what she wants, including threatening a family. But I just wonder, at what point are we just basically having scenes of her being evil for no good goddamn reason?
I think that she took probably bad writing and
it was bad writing.
Polished it up as well.
It was terrible writing. Let's not make aces and apes out of this. This was terrible.
She took bad writing and she polished it up into a good performance, as she does.
I mean, again, testament to her performance that the script that she was working with, which was tacky as all fuck, Fast and Furious script, don't you know? But still, made it her own, or not her own, but made it her, like. It wasn't a leap of logic, rather, to believe that somebody would do this, because she does look like, unfortunately for Charlize Theron, or fortunate, depending on how you look at it, she has resting bitch face, so she could play a wonderful villainess. Too bad there isn't a very large cadre of roles for women to be evil, because that would because of how story structures usually go, that have to mean they have their downfall, and that usually means physical confrontation, and what are you going to have? Your heroic man punch a woman,
Yeah, no. What are we gonna have? Equalism? Fuck that shit.
Yeah, I know. Like, on one hand, yeah, like, she's an evil bitch. Of course, get her, righteous comeuppance. On the other hand, that doesn't make the hero look good. So it's like, you're kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't. So the way this movie handles it is she just bails. She just parachutes out of her plane and just lives to lives another day.
I mean, I want to think that's just because she's going to be in the next movie or
Of
a
course.
next movie.
I mean, of course.
More than they just didn't want to get the payload on.
Like she escapes to live another day,
Yeah.
but at the exact same time, one of these days, either Vin Diesel or probably Michelle Rodriguez.
Yeah.
Michelle Rodriguez is just going to put
Probably
her.
going to get the kill blow. Yeah.
Yeah, probably put her in the. Actually, yeah, it's Michelle Rodriguez. She's just going to take her knife and just right up there. Actually, Michelle Rodriguez took a really nasty bump, like in the fight in the Arctic, where she was basically fighting that. Remember, she was fighting that Russian dude.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like
there's
she-
the,
Yeah, she basically took a pump handle slam onto a console board. So
yeah,
it was,
that's pretty brutal.
yeah, so good on you. Like that's why I get even though I hate Michelle Rodriguez's roles she's always cast in.
Yeah.
That's why, but I can't hate her as an actress because she'll do shit like that, and she will, she'll play a role where that will happen, and that's where I feel like okay, she looks like she could take. She looked like a kind of woman who could take a punch, and that's always A-okay by me. I know how that sounds, but it goes to the larger point that she is a capable she plays a capable character, and being capable means that you should be able to hold your own if you're throwing hands, especially in an action movie. So from Charlize Theron's basically grinding oiling the gears that keeps the movie churning along. The rest of the
And
movie.
incredibly awesome long twists or braids or dreads, whatever those.
Oh
were.
yeah, those were dreads. Like she was rocking some white.
They look like twists that were slightly dreaded. Yeah.
She looked like the old agents from Matrix Revolutions.
Yeah.
Matrix Reloaded, rather.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not exactly a very flattering look, but you know what?
She really sold it.
It's Charlize Theron could basically roll around in a honey bucket porta potty and come out looking like she's a goddess.
Yeah.
So, and it's not necessarily how she looks, but how she carries herself.
Oh, it's not a testament to the look per se, but
But look how she carries herself and how her posture and her mannerisms. It's very much the elegant and everything. So,
then again, I do kind of dig that look.
Yeah.
If it's done right.
If it's done right, but it wasn't.
If it's done clean, the way she... I thought it was
I thought it was kind of embarrassing, personally speaking. Like, her dreads go down to her butt. It's not...
It didn't really make sense for the character.
Yeah, like, why in the world is she rocking
dreads? I had
dreads?
no fucking clue. For me, it was like, I have no idea why your character... in a suit and everything is like wearing it's okay. Well, it made more sense when she was trying to fit into the region she was at.
Mm-hmm.
Like what was she was in Cuba, I guess it was, or something.
Oh, yeah, she was in Cuba.
And it was like, okay, well, she's really going hardcore cognito, or just trying to.
Yeah, like I don't know. Like if you're trying to go hardcore incognito, why would you give yourself long butt dreads in Cuba?
As a white girl, yeah.
Like if you're as white as Charlize Theron. So.
But I could understand, like, okay, this is her trying to fit in look. But, back up on the plane or whatever, back in the base, it's like, wow. I mean, God, her styles were weird. She would have, like, a Metallica shirt at one point. Did you see that?
Yeah,
she had a Metallica shirt. It was like, what? What are you doing?
Like it almost looks like she just showed up to shoot one day, just in her street clothes, and they forgot her wardrobe that day. So like, well, we can't waste a day of filming.
There were a lot of problems with her character. Now that I'm dissecting it a little bit,
but again, a testament to her performance.
I enjoyed her character so much because it was her.
Yeah, like you never once while you were watching it thinking like that doesn't make sense. Only like fridge logic sets in. You're like, wait a minute. Yeah, well, like her character motivation doesn't necessarily sync up with her actions. A lot of the time, she was just being evil just to be evil, which. Again, Theron sold the fuck out of it. So, I mean, can I really notch her as in the negative column as a whole? No, I can't.
No.
But it's almost like this. It almost feels like her placement in this movie is very indicative of the Fast and Furious as a franchise, where it's like, that's great! Asterisk, 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 asterisk. So, again, the best thing I could say about her is that she fits, and she drove the better story, more involved story along. And even I enjoyed Kurt Russell as much
Yeah.
as he's not in this movie.
Everybody seemed to be pretty cohesive at this point, working with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Now that a certain person was out of the scene,
I don't know.
not what I was going for, but that's how it
Yeah, I know.
comes off.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, there was an homage to him at the end.
Oh yeah, or basically he names his son after him.
Yeah, so don't worry, this whole movie wasn't just like a bunch of more like nods to him or CG or clipped.
Yeah, like they left him well enough alone, as well they should have.
Like, oh, look over there, and there's Brian. Was it Brian?
Yeah, Brian.
There's Brian breaking it down with the boys, and it's like clipped.
That's yeah.
We really thought they were gonna do that in 7.
I didn't know if they would do the I thought they were going to have the death scene. Like I really did think they were going to have the death scene, and then
but they didn't.
Respectful, mournful scene. But then I realized, no, wait, that'd be too tasteful for this movie. This is a goddamn Fast and Furious movie. They never do anything in taste. Although, be a bit more progressive as far as their casting is concerned. Actually, speaking of casting, weirdness in this movie abound. Jason Statham returns, and if Charlize Theron was the driving force behind the movie, Jason Statham was sort of like Jason Statham was definitely the best part of the movie, just in terms of wanting to see him do what he does. I love the fact that Jason Statham looks at The Rock and says, "I can take him," even though he's bulked to be like Hercules strong.
I was like, you can take him.
Oh yeah, sure. You who have to crane your neck to look up at him can take on.
The guy literally broke cement off of cement of rebarb and just
it's just like start crunching it. It's like
might have well just started eating it at that point because the guy's superhuman. I mean, he's like the Juggernaut. He kicks 2 guys at once, stacked against each other. They're both running up, and he just kind of does a kick, and they go, Steven Seagal flying.
Pump kicks them, and they just it's like they got shot out of a cannon.
He's got concussive force. He's got Fortitude 6. He just flicks his finger ambiguously, just kind of, and people go flying.
And Jason Statham looks at that and he says, "Yeah, I could take him." It's like, you go, Jason Statham, you go. And but even though Jason Statham is the best part of this movie, just for me personally, I enjoyed his. I wish there was more of him.
He was pretty damn good.
I wish there was more of him, as is usually the case. He winds up when he shows up in movies. Of all the things that I didn't expect to see in this movie, what I didn't expect the least, as it was, or the most, depending on how you look at it, was Helen Mirren showing up as his mom, and then the Russian PM being played by Brian Cox. And I was actually disappointed that they really didn't do much with Brian Cox in that movie. He's just said some things in Russian and that's it. Why the fuck did you get Brian Cox as the Russian PM, if not to have a Red reunion?
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't even interact with each other at all. Why the...
That was weird.
Fucking weird.
Where was John Malkovich? Where was...
Yeah.
But let's go ahead and get the Expendables on this too, and just mash up all of the Broforce-y stuff that
Well, the Expendables is Dad Force.
Yeah.
This is Broforce.
Broforce, yeah.
So combined together into.
Well, Red was Dad Force. So.
Yeah, Red was Dad Force, but pretty much everyone in Red was in the Expendables, for Helen Mirren and Brian Cox. But I think you just give it enough timeline, we're going to get an Expendables movie with both of them in it.
That's just cross the borders.
Yeah, the Expendables with they're not going to have another Expendables movie with Bruce Willis in it. Oh God. Sylvester Stallone hates his guts.
Oh. Well.
And it's no secret either. He went on a public tirade about it. He's like, "You're lazy and you're greedy." So the more you learn by keeping your ear to the Hollywood ground. I don't know if that beef is still going on, because that was about 5 years ago, I want to say. 4 or 5 years ago. They were last in a movie together. I forgot when the second Expendables was.
I remember back when there was allegedly beef between Vin Diesel and Paul Walker.
Yeah, that.
On the.
Yeah,
I mean, it was resolved
obviously. But no, like it cuts to like the wreckage and Paul Walker.
That's what
the wreckage of Paul Walker and Vin Diesel walks around with like some cable cutters that he cut his brakes on.
There's just some guy in a ball cap and sunglasses, walking off, and it's like zero in on
Vin Diesel's potato face.
Yeah. We are horrible people.
Yes, we are. It's horrible, terrible people. Oddly enough, I kind of wish there was more Ludacris in this movie as well. I mean, I do. I wish there were more other characters. Like, it feels like the focus of the movie went towards The Rock again, as I said, and I feel like that's attention, even though it makes business sense and it makes sense for everyone else but me. It's like, but like this and this, and it's just like that personally frustrates me. It really does, and that keeps me from wholesale liking it. Wholesale liking the movie, but like wholesale liking it on the level
supporting it.
Furious 7.
Yeah.
But like
backing it.
Yeah, but take it as is. I like the movie, and I wouldn't mind seeing it again, and I wouldn't mind other people, and I do encourage other people to see it. Just with the asterisk, like not as good as 7.
Yeah,
not as good as 7. Not as outrageous as 7. Not as fun as 7. But oddly enough, a better movie than 7.
Don't have a plane halo dropping cars.
Exactly.
With parachutes.
And then expect to follow that up. It's like. So I think that's where I really come down on it. Furious 7 is the more fun movie, is the more outrageous movie, but this is technically the better movie.
So the next question is Triple X.
Yeah.
I enjoyed Triple X more than this.
Oddly enough, I like this more than Triple X.
Really?
Yes. And I think I'm not necessarily sure why, but I think it has something to do with the fact that it was more over the top, I'm going to say.
Triple X was more over the top, I think, wasn't it?
No, I would say this was more.
Yeah, it was, dude. Come on, man. Remember Vin Diesel doing the freaking...
oh, yeah, like sliding, like skiing down
a mountain.
Skiing down the mountain versus driving on a frozen lake and then guiding a heated missile into a nuclear submarine.
Okay, but...
I think it could go round for round as far as ridiculousness is concerned.
Motorcycle skiing on water.
Zombie cars that pile up on another.
I actually could kind of believe the zombie car part.
You can believe it could happen.
Maybe not so much the part where they had them like turning. Well, I mean, actually, that is like technology now. You can do that.
There's smart cars and self-driving cars, rather.
But tell me how many like motorcycle jet skis there are. There are like, amphibious motorcycles that sprout.
Granted, they do exist, but they do not look like that.
No, they don't.
No, they do. No, they do not. But my question isn't so much like the premise, not so much the premise, but what do they do with the premise?
And could those motorcycles surf?
No, they could not surf.
Come on, that was ridiculous.
That was fucking ridiculous. But I much prefer the scene in which
the shot had them going from day to night.
Yes, day to night. But that's not to the movie's credit. That's just
no. It was totally to their credit. They totally did that on purpose. I believe that in the canon that they did that.
That's just bad filmmaking.
That they had to stop at gas stations on this island, this like criminal island. Or they had to get alcohol or pee into the...
I know, like they're water worlding it. I don't know, but I look at that scene and what they did with it and realize that's some grade A premium shit right there. But this is like grade A premium shit that is actually kind of more creative. Using cars as falling ballistic missiles of Gushin Premiere.
See, I could believe that, though, because... Okay, you know what? I couldn't believe that they had them in every goddamn floor.
Yes.
Every frickin' window had a car coming out of it. How did they premeditate this?
They just said, like, let's just hack every...
So they didn't premeditate it? The cars were already there?
They were just there, yes.
Every one of those buildings had a floor with cars on it on every single floor.
That had hackable chips in it, yes.
But you see,
with self-driving, yeah.
But the problem with this is the way they presented it almost like went under the radar as far as how ridiculous it was. Like they somehow managed to tone it in a way that seems serious and less over the top.
I mean, yeah, they presented it like, no, this is logical thing. I mean, they undersold the ridiculousness of it.
They undersold the ridiculousness of it. They didn't have like guys like ragdoll physics going, ah!
I don't know. Like I think like the framing of it isn't nearly as glorious as that. The framing of that is. But if you ask me wholesale, which is more ridiculous, serving motorcycles or a parade of cars falling off a garage and just
Yeah, it's just they presented it too James Bondy, like they were trying to take something that was, not possible, but try to make it seem like it might be possible. It just there was something missing about the tone of it that made it so funny in Seven, and not as funny in this, and I don't know why.
maybe it's because we kind of say like, yeah, that could happen in this universe.
Maybe that's the problem. We're like we're institutionalized.
He's like, yeah, like this is par for the course, and I suppose that's its own worst enemy in that regard. But it's important to like remove expectations as far as that's concerned, and realize what they're actually filming and what they're actually showing. It's cars being self-driven off of a parking garage to literally rain metallic death on the streets. That is some premium grade bullshit.
Man, have we really bought into this universe?
We might very well may have, yes. I know, god damn it.
Wow, this world is gonna suck.
Ugh.
In comparison, man.
I know, right? And maybe that's part of the reason why I like this more than Triple X, because with Triple X, I mean, there's no me confused like buying anything in that movie. That's just me just pointing at that and just like ha ha ha. I mean, I'm having fun.
We're playing hot potato with multiple grenades and stuff. This stuff is non-stop, and there's never a dull moment. Everybody's got a smile on their face throughout the whole thing.
I mean, even though like both movies are technically within that same realm of ridiculous action schlock, they're not necessarily the same, because this is just being fun for the sake of fun, but this is fun with like almost like a message and almost like an actual story that they want to tell.
Like we didn't even. I don't think we really mentioned it at all. But Vin Diesel's son is captured.
Oh yeah,
he finds out he has a son. Did we mention?
Yeah,
that?
we did. We briefly mentioned that.
Yeah, so he finds out his son's captured, and that's kind of the driving force behind him turning against his team, going rogue. And it's kind of like I guess once they introduce that to the story, maybe that's what it was. Is that everything that happened after that kind of seemed a little bit less funny. Because you're thinking about this kid's life being on the line?
Yeah, because it's a literal baby. It's a literal baby. Yeah. So I guess that kind of makes it, that does like, child death. They're not going to actually...
they got a gun up to this kid, so it's like...
I don't think it was a gun. I don't think they actually held a gun up to a kid. But there was a scene in which a grunt nearly shot the baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you were going to shoot a baby.
Yeah. So it's... When you have that condition, it kind of cheapens the...
I wouldn't say it cheapens.
Well, cheapened is the wrong word. It takes the edge off the funny part of the movie.
Yeah.
Every time something happens, you're the stakes, and it's like...
Yeah.
It's like, this is serious now.
I don't know, but like a moment ago you were framing that as a good thing, though. That they were actually trying to tell a story with what they're doing, but now...
Well, I think that I ended up framing it as a good thing to explain that it wasn't funny. I wasn't per se saying that I would have preferred it this way over being over the top funny, but that the fact that I enjoyed it is kind of
you know what it is? It's like robbing Peter to give to Paul. You know what?
Yeah.
Paul needs it, but so does Peter. So Peter can't have it. Both Peter and Paul can't have it. So it's either or.
Is Paul Walker in this?
In this tortured metaphor, yes.
Okay.
Why not?
Who's Peter?
Peter. Fuck it. It's Peter Wells.
Peter Wells.
Peter Weller.
Peter Weller.
Yeah, it's Peter Weller. Why the fuck not? RoboCop.
That'd
Bullshit.
be awesome. That'd be so cool if he was in on this.
I wouldn't put it past him. I seriously would not put it past him. But to go back to your question, I still prefer this over Triple X because at the end of the day, I think this is like I'll watch Triple X again, but only if it's like on like TV. I'll watch it if somebody like hasn't. I will watch Fate of the Furious again if somebody hasn't seen it. It's like, oh yeah, you should see it. I'll rent it. We'll watch it again. Can't say the exact same thing about Triple X. So just using by that general measuring stick.
I could see Triple X again. That was fun.
I mean,
it was a lot
like-
of fun. I really enjoyed that.
Both
I
are
thought you enjoyed that more than you did.
No, yeah, like I enjoyed that movie quite a bit, but if I have to choose a favorite of the two, I'll put
Well,
it.
you said you'd watch one again, but not.
I said I'd watch it again, but only if it's like on TV.
Okay.
It's like it would require minimum effort on my part to watch it again, because I think that watching that movie again and again would kind of cheapen it.
Hmm.
Part of the charm of that movie was just seeing like the lengths by which they'll go to, just to see like almost to see
That's true.
Vin Diesel kind of
Once you already know.
stroke his ego. Stroke his ego again. Whereas here, whereas with this movie, there are at least performances to get involved in, and at least you get to see Vin Diesel attempt to act, which is kind of hilarious. Like when he has his family like locked in front of him, and he's can't do anything about it. He actually has emotion. Like he's not doing like that cold like anymore.
Things I do for my country. It's an animal thing.
Yeah, like or he doesn't do that. Like he has like a moment where it's almost like the needle almost pushed to over. Actually, I think it was overacting, but not quite towards glorious overacting, where he is like
Glorious.
where he's basically screaming at Charlize Theron through the glass prison, and he's screaming like my choice. Like he almost hit that right tone, like where it almost feels like remember in Miami Connection where like one of the bikers was like asking his sister about about everyone else about the karate group, and they say like, well, he's just a friend, and he just screams a friend, and then he just immediately like lets go of the anger, and that's the end of that scene. That tone reminded me a great deal of that. A great deal. But yeah, the as I was saying, like Fast Furious 7, better movie than Furious 8, but at least we got something different sort of out of it. At least there was some more, like there was more to technically merit in this movie, as I said, but I don't know. Not exactly casting pearls before swine, but not exactly what you're lining up for. Still good. Still go see it, but it's just still go see it. Have a good time. You will have a good time, rather. But no, I just can't. I cannot hitch my wagon to this movie like I could Furious 7.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree with that. I mean, for me, it's Fury 7, Triple X, and then this movie.
Mm.
So, whereas for you, it's 7, this movie, Triple X.
Yeah, 7, 8, Triple X.
Yeah. At least we agree on one thing.
Oh, at least on one thing. And it's actually a little bit fun. It was actually kind of fun to debate you on the merits of whether Triple X was better than Furious 8 or not. But we don't get to do that very often. Disagree, that is.
Yeah, that's because we're smart. Yeah.
That's certainly.
It's like, what am I gonna do? Am I gonna be stupid just to be disagreeing?
Just to be contrarian? No. Look, you make the right choice. You agree with me.
No,
Well,
the other way around. Totally.
you want to debate this? But yeah, that was the movie this week. Not sure. I don't remember off the top of my head what's next week, but one of these days we're gonna have a clunker. Well, actually, the last movie we saw was a clunker. We actually kind of missed seeing the Smurfs remake, or the Smurfs cartoon movie last week, because I just had some writing to do, and I wanted to get some things done.
And we didn't want to watch it.
Look, let's not let not wanting to see a movie stop us from seeing a movie to talk about it. All right. Otherwise, we're going to miss a whole lot of movies.
Well, that was definitely a big part of it.
Granted. But I did, excuse me, I did use the time to actually work on things that people actually watch. Till next time.